everybody? Welcome back to my channel, East to West Reviews. Thank you so much for joining me today. Got another special video for you guys here. Discussion on Bad Batch episode 15, Return to Kamino. So, not my usual format for Bad Batch videos, but with that insane episode, I had to just go ahead and do a discussion. There was too much to talk about. So I brought back my boy, Dirty Dan, here with me. We're going to go ahead and break down this episode and get into some predictions for the season finale next week. And just kind of honestly gush over this amazing episode. It was spectacular. So
Yeah.
Dirty Dan, hey, welcome back to the channel, man. Thanks for coming through.
Hey, thanks for having me on here.
So Dan, this episode was insane from start to finish.
Mine.
Especially with how everything kind of ended last week. Real quick, if I can, let me get your thoughts overall, like real brief on this episode. But let me know what you thought about last week as well, with that crazy infiltration on the Empire base and the clone commandos and the new troopers.
Yes. I thought that was pretty insane that they already are like pretty much putting like having the new Empire, or I guess like what we know as the Imperial like Stormtrooper look. Like they're starting to incorporate that. If you're a Rebels fan, you notice the helmets. Ezra has a collection of many of those Stormtrooper helmets, at least the early variants of it. So it was kind of nice to see like that's starting to take effect. Personally, I thought that episode was great. I thought it was pretty crazy, especially the ending there. How Hunter gets captured. I'm just like, whoa. This might go down south really quickly. One little detail that I got excited about was the fact that you saw Scorch from Star Wars Republic Commando. I believe he was in the scene when they were inside the elevator, and you see that one clone commando, with the little like yellow detailing slightly. The one that was also like jumping around and really got like the edge on them.
Yeah,
I think that was Scorch. I personally really liked the episode. I really liked the fact that they didn't know that the Empire already had secret bases. Like training them. Like in the fact that they learned that they're like, oh, like they're really gonna start replacing us clones. Like,
yeah, I was really
that's kind of a mind-opening thing for them.
It looked like they were really at it for a while too. I know, like way back, I think it was episode 2 when Crosshair got his original crew and they got sent out, right?
Yup.
They introduced the idea, but I didn't think that they were this far along. They really sped up some time on this, for the whole Stormtrooper initiative coming in.
Another thing I did like about that episode was seeing Gregor. Honestly, again, as a Rebels fan, it was great to see Gregor again. You notice that his personality is a little bit more towards how you see him in Rebels versus how you first saw him in Clone Wars. Like he's got that laugh, he's got that kind of like sluggish kind of thing going on. It's Gregor. And it was very exciting to see that. So I really loved that, honestly.
Yeah, man. Gregor was really a pleasure to see. Like I loved him in Clone Wars. I still haven't seen Rebels yet, but I know he's in there, and I want to see him there as well. But it was a real pleasure to see him. I was really amazed how like Rex just casually was just like, yeah, I need you to go ahead and pick up this guy for me.
Yeah. Just casually, like, oh yeah, go scoop him, and thanks. But we're in the middle of a job. No, just go do it. Just trust me, please.
Also, I mentioned this in my video last week, but yo, what was Rex doing? He sounded a little sus in that video. He's like, I can't talk right now. Like he's doing something like crazy right now. Some real special ops probably right now.
I ain't gonna lie. I have 2 theories about that.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll ever get to see that.
Okay.
My first one is, all right, so we also know in Rebels, if you're a Rebels fan, you also see Wolf as well. Now, this could be Rex trying to find Wolf, or this could be Rex trying to find Cody, and he was obviously, undercover as like a civilian maybe on a planet that he probably last heard that they were on, and he's trying to find them
Hmm.
because the signal, he knew that that was Gregor, but he didn't tell him he didn't tell the Bad Batch it was Gregor. But I do believe that he was either looking for Cody or Wolf.
I wouldn't be surprised. It kind of feels like Rex is kind of bolstering his forces. He got his initial crew off of the ship. What left he could with Ahsoka. He even tried to go ahead and recruit the Batch. He's like, "Hey, I could use you." So
Yeah,
he might as well go after some of the other brothers that he knows that might be out there. And he can get to at least.
yeah, especially because like,
You want those officers, especially
oh
Wolf
yeah,
and
oh
Cody.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And then getting Gregor was even a plus because he's a commando.
Hmm. Whether commandos, phase one clones, that's the best of the best.
Yeah.
All right, so without further ado, let's get into this episode here. So we're going to go ahead and break it down a little bit and this episode piecemeal. Let's start here. The crew. So when we first kind of kicked things off after we saw Hunter's situation, um, the crew was in immediate action. They were really trying to go in and get back to Hunter as soon as they could. They didn't really have too much of a plan, really. It was just, okay, we're going to get Gregor to safety, drop him off with Sid, we're going to repair the ship, and then we're going to go back and get him, right? Like
Hmm.
Omega is all huffy puffy, trying to like
She was
hurry things
stressed.
up. Yeah, Omega was in it. Echo's trying to tell her like calm down. So what did I was actually really surprised that they were immediately going to go back and get him without any sort of plan or anything. They didn't ask for any backup or anything. They didn't try to reach out for anyone.
Yeah.
They just went for it. And even more so when they found out that he wasn't even on the planet that they left him on. And then they get the signal from his communicator that Crosshair is using that he's not on Daro anymore. He's now on Kamino. So I was even more surprised that they were planning to just go right on in, knowing that that is an imperial stronghold. With,
Mm,
not at the time they didn't know that, but normally that's something that's filling with troops that are ready to blast them.
yeah.
So like, what were your thoughts on them sort of you know just running straight into it without any thoughts, without seemed like they were in disarray without Hunter.
I mean, it goes to show how they operate without like their leader, because Hunter was really the one that kind of led a lot of their operations and plans.
Hmm.
So it kind of goes to show that they did rely on Hunter a lot for like their strategies and like how to handle stuff. Um, which in a way, I mean, I feel like the group needs to learn to adapt without him. Especially if a situation like that happens.
Yeah, they do.
But it definitely shows like how much they do actually care about Hunter. Because I'm sure if Omega got captured, they would be going crazy about that. They would definitely be
That's
going in
worst
doing
case
something
scenario.
very similar. Yeah,
Yes.
especially like worried because on top of that, like they knew Crosshair was there. So they know that he's captured by him. So they're like, oh gosh, they're probably thinking like, oh, Crosshair's gonna kill Hunter like the second he sees him. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really in disarray. And even like more so, like you said, once they found out Crosshair was there, that's the other part of their crew that was really involved in plan making, especially
Mhm.
as someone who provides constant overwatch as a sniper and marksman. He's a real tactician, and they really just went right on in.
Yeah. I mean, even at one point where they did have some sort of a plan, it's like, oh boy, it backfired a lot. You
Hmm.
know, going into that, excuse me, the training room.
But
Um,
plans are optional for them. Plans are more like a guideline for them. They
yeah,
improvise on the spot.
yeah, because that's pretty much well, that's also what they said in like season 7 of Clone Wars. They're more of an improvise
Hmm.
rather than really stick with like a steady strategy.
Oh yeah, especially lately they've really been showing Omega's prowess.
Mm.
She's starting to really have a tactical mind. She was kind of leading the crew, but we'll get into that in a little bit here.
Yeah.
I wanted to get into I really want to get into Crosshair because
Oh,
he
yes, please.
was this episode with Crosshair was phenomenal. Honestly,
I
just so
was.
many great moments.
I'll be honest. I was not expecting any of that. I watched that episode thinking like, oh boy, something's good. Like I'm like, someone's going to die. Like somebody is going to die this episode. It's gonna happen, and then they're just gonna pull some crap. But like, I was not expecting any of
Yeah.
what we saw. You
So
know.
so to start, um, so early on in the episode, we get a moment after Crosshair gets his orders from Admiral Rampart. He one of the new stormtroopers under Crosshair goes to the Admiral
Mm,
and says, "Hey, I kind of don't trust this guy.
yeah.
His motives um I think his motives lie differently when it comes to his crew. So we really need to like watch him." And the Admiral agreed. He said, "Yeah, keep an eye on him." But also it's what he said too. Right after that, he basically said, "Yeah, keep an eye on him, but regardless if his plan fails or not, it's not going to matter in the
Yeah.
future." And immediately I'm like, "What does he mean by that?"
Yeah.
you know,
You
what
know,
did
he pushed
at
himself.
that
Yeah.
at
So
that point in time, what did you kind of think Rampart had in mind
you
when it came
know,
for them?
I mean, I personally thought he was going to just kill Crosshair. Like he was gonna have him like executed while like I guess in a way knowing that his squad, like I guess because they have Hunter, they know the squad's gonna show up. Like they know they're gonna come for him, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
So I guess in a way, like he was probably going to kill off Crosshair in front of the Bad Batch group or something like that. I thought there was gonna be
Really?
some sort of like little trick, Like I personally thought in the room, whatnot, like Crosshair is there, Hunter's there, and like you got the whole, at
You
least like
think he would just get rid of him just like that?
yeah. Personally, I thought he was gonna get rid of him, and the
Yeah.
person that was like, "Oh, I don't trust
I,
him," was gonna be put as the leader. Personally,
So yeah, I always kind of thought of it was like the Adam was like, I'm gonna just keep him close, that way I can keep better eye on him,
yeah,
um, because Crosshair is an asset. Honestly,
he really is. He
he's
honestly
like
is.
there are very few people in that whole facility that could be a real
So,
competent commander and
yeah,
lead these new troops,
yeah.
especially with this whole elite squad that they're trying to test out. These early what look like death troopers, kind of.
Mm.
So I was kind of thought that he was just an asset to keep close, but if anything turned bad, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Rampart would have had him killed, but I didn't think that this would be the situation really.
Yeah, no, but kind of backtracking on like just Crosshair in general, that episode, I will say that he was pretty smart for what he did because from the moment that he had Hunter, his plan was kind of already set. Like I feel like he had already
Yes.
had a plan from the moment that he caught Hunter. He was like, okay, this is exactly what I need right now.
Yeah.
It's like I got the
Do you
like
think that that
especially
was
with how
always his plan?
I don't know if you want me to go like later into the episode when he was having a conversation with it, but
Yeah, no, we're getting into Crosshair and Hunter now, because yeah, like, they had a lot of phenomenal moments in here.
okay, because
So
I was gonna say like a little bit of some things that I was thinking, like reflecting on past episodes.
okay,
So we remember the episode when they were in the Republic ship on Braca and whatnot, and remember how he got really injured from the engine, right?
yes,
So I feel like that's sort of when, like, because you know how he's like, oh, like I've never had my chip, right? I personally think he's lying. I think he's lying about it. I feel like he still has the chip, but I feel like because of those injuries, and in a way, it's like when you have some sort of like chip or electronic type thing, like when it's exposed to a lot of heat, it's gonna, malfunction. So I
yeah,
feel like at that point it was more like he had to keep up the character, but like regardless, Empire, Republic, good, bad, whatever, he kind of wanted to do his. I feel like at that point he kind of wanted his squad back, at least to do his own thing.
hmm
But at the same time, I feel like his chip was still working. And that's why I'm glad they like stunned him because I honestly thought he was gonna get shot. And I thought I was like, oh,
No,
that's the end of that,
not for a minute. He's Hunter's kept his gun on stun this entire time. Every time it came to like the Empire, he's
yeah,
never turned it on to like deadly or anything. So
yeah, no, yeah. But I
um,
thought that was pretty interesting, and I kind of related it to that. Um, Only because, like, I guess, like, in a way, like, it would make sense. It's like, okay, like, maybe his chip had malfunctioned then, and that's why he's saying, "I've had my chip removed a long time ago." Because maybe when he was recovering from those injuries, they had to remove it. And maybe because he had already been accustomed to the whole chip and the personality, I guess, of being loyal to the Empire, he just adjusted to it, and that's just kind of like who he became.
so I agree with you completely. I always sort of thought that Crosshair uh, was lying about his chip, honestly, because like you said in that episode when his face sort of really got burned, and I believe it was the same side of his head. Um, that that still has a scar on it that the chip was in. So I think it was damaged, but it was weird that he said it was removed long ago. So that kind of makes me think that if that is true, it was done prior to that moment, and maybe that this is just who Crosshair always was, like all along, because I mean we kind of see this in our own world too as well,
Yeah.
with soldiers, especially like elite soldiers. Like this is they are born and bred in the army, right? It's all they know how to do. It's their entire life, um, and it's nothing different. Hunter was starting to take favor for Omega, and it's like, hey, maybe we should, reconsider everything that's going on now that the war is over and whatnot. And Crosshair's like, no, we're soldiers. We're the batch. Like we are elite. This is what we do. I kind of want to break it down here a little bit because there was a really some great moments between the crew here in this episode. So there were a lot of really good moments in this episode between the crew, and especially between Hunter and Crosshair because they had a lot of time together. Whether it
Yeah.
was between the transit of him coming to Kamino, and especially when they got to Kamino, there were some really good moments. But on the way there, Crosshair, Hunter's trying to reason with him, trying to get through to him, and Crosshair was talking to one of the his other crew, the stormtroopers, and and there was this quote, and I was like, hold on a minute, why would you say that? Um, he said they don't leave their own behind most of the time. And I was just like, hold on, like that's really unfair. You shot at them.
Because when he said that, I was definitely like, that's sort of when I realized I was like, okay, he has a plan in mind, and I don't know what it is, but I feel like something's gonna happen because high key, like, or at least looking back at it now, like I rewatched the episode, um, but like watching it again, it's like you really see that like from the moment that Hunter was captured, it's like I said before, like it's been part of his plan. So I feel like he was kind of like edging on in a way, saying like, "Yeah, I don't mess with you guys anymore." you know, like it's whatever. Like like my plan's pretty much gonna come together. So regardless or not, like it doesn't matter. But that's just what I personally kind of got from it. I mean, obviously, like someone might think differently, but that's
hmm
what I personally took from him saying that to one of his squad, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, and what? I was really confused why he said that early on, but it really wasn't until later that a lot of that, we got a little more context for that.
yes,
Especially when it came to some of his final statements to them. There were two key moments at least I can recall. The first one being to when he uncuffed Hunter and he said, "I'm going to do for you what you didn't give me," and it was a chance. So he cuts him free, and then he's like, "Join me. We can really do all this. I want us to be together." And then there was the moment uh, after when they were talking about his inhibitor chip, and he's basically explaining to him, like I said, like I had this removed long ago. This is who I really am. And he just continues to go on for his spiel, like this is who I am. This is what we were made for. Um, so what do you think about um, like Crosshair and his saying to the crew, like do you think he had a point, honestly, in all of this?
I think he did because if you look back to like episode 2, like what were the clones created for?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like you look at the point of the like what they were created for. They were created to fight wars.
Hmm.
You know, and he does have a point. He's like, this is what we were created to do. But I just feel like his viewpoint of it is from the wrong side, or I guess as the audience and knowing what happens in the future movies, the wrong side.
Very,
You
very
know.
much so. Yeah.
I will also say that there is a mean parallel with that conversation with him and Hunter, the same as Maul and Ahsoka,
Really.
in a
Are
way,
you talking
because
about
you know
back
how
with them on Mandalore?
yes, the conversation that him and Ahsoka have on Mandalore is in a way, the mood is very parallel. You have Crosshair saying, "Join me, we can do this together," and then you also looking back, Maul says very similar things to Ahsoka, saying, "Together we can beat the Emperor. Like, there's no Jedi anymore. Like, it's done. Like,
Hmm.
this is what's going to happen." Like, in a way, it's like they both know what was going to happen. They're trying to tell, you know, the good character that we see what's like their kind of side in a way.
Yeah. And
Um, and
this.
sort of like both of it ending up. Well, Maul and Ahsoka, we know that ended up in the duel,
Mhm.
but with Hunter and Crosshair, he gets stunned. Like they stun Crosshair.
Right.
So like I really saw like a little parallel to like those kind of moments in a way.
Honestly, it's funny
And I can
because both of they all make great pairs. Like whether it was Ahsoka and Maul, and whether it was light side or dark side, they're a formidable pair. Same thing with the Bad Batch here. They had that incredible moment where it was a great reminder of just how phenomenal they are together when
yes.
they had that moment. Honestly, I know it was all just for a gimmick, just so they can have that moment to display themselves together. But I really appreciated that because that was really cool. We haven't seen that since the first episode.
No.
So we didn't even get that much of them together in the first episode, in combat. So to see this, it was a little nostalgic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were incredible, and even Omega had a little backup with her bow too, and they're they're incredible together. I hope somehow um, Crosshair is able to come back into the fold because if the
Oh
Empire
my
ends up
gosh.
coming
Omega
back
will
after
be. Woo!
if the Empire ends up coming back after them,
Oh yeah.
they're gonna have to send some real force at them.
Ah yes. And I probably
And,
have a few
and it might
ideas.
have to be somebody with the force to come at them, honestly.
They wouldn't go that far. I don't think
You don't
they would
think
go
so?
that.
I think honest
I don't
no, I
think
would if I was Palpatine, I would send an Inquisitor.
you could. You could send Grant. You
I
could
wouldn't say I don't know
introduce
if
an
I'd send
early.
Grand Inquisitor, but I'd send an Inquisitor. There's always this sort of you got to pick a side in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But that's also why I appreciate characters like Ahsoka,
Yes.
because I mean, Ahsoka's side is just the morally good side. It's just she doesn't always agree with everyone who's kind of leans that way, but her heart is
Yeah.
always in the right place. Um, but we've been seeing this also coming back time and time again, and I've been saying this with Hunter. Every time they've gone on to rescue somebody who was related to some sort of, you know, terror in the empire,
Yeah.
um, they always ended up telling him, like, you're going to have to choose a side eventually. There was the separatist leader, the sisters,
Even I think
there's the
Sid.
people, yes,
I was
Sid a
about to say.
little
I think
bit.
Sid even said you're gonna have to choose a side at some point.
And especially I know it especially hit home when Rex pointed it out, and even more so when
Oh yeah.
on at the end of Ryloth.
Mm, mm. Yes.
That I think that was probably what really might have tipped it towards, especially because the Empire got wind, and Admiral Rampart himself said, "I can't underestimate you anymore. You know, you're too dangerous to just be left out there." So, real quick, there was something interesting for me that kind of I picked up here,
Mm.
and it was sort of after going through like the Camino facility, how much the Kaminoans really didn't like trust or care about the clones at all, because they kept all of these hidden like underground like passageways a secret. Like I don't think we've ever seen that
Yeah.
in the
No.
Camino facility, any of that, and it's supposed to be connecting all of them, like all of the other cities and underwater like facilities and towns and things, you know.
I feel like some. I feel like some of them did know. I guess accidentally discovering it, but in a way, like yeah, they definitely did keep it a secret.
They have a lot of secrets.
Yeah, they do.
They've gotten exposed this entire series, honestly.
Yeah.
The Kaminoans are really all about a profit. They didn't care about the people that they were cloning and anything. They didn't care about who they were affiliated with. It was really
Yeah.
just survival and the next dollar for them.
Yeah, because I remember Grand Priest was like, yeah, no, like when the Empire was like, oh, um, we don't I guess have a lot of uses for you, and when him and Nalise were talking, they were like, oh, well, we'll find a new client that'll appreciate our science.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm just like, wow,
And
they
that's when the
really
Empire is like, no, 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 we
yeah,
can't just let you walk away.
yeah. He was like, well, we still have use for your scientists, just not you.
Yeah,
So bye,
but
but
they have a lot of secrets. Um,
they
and just to go back to another one, um, there was that whole abandoned facility in that place that looked like Cloud City, where the fight between Cat Bane and Fennec
oh
Shane.
yes, yes.
What is up with this, like there was a lot of
I
like they it looked like they were even cloning themselves there. So that was a whole abandoned facility of like a lot of their lost technology and failed experiments. So who's to say like what kind of like horrors and things the Kaminoans like have like hidden on their planet and facilities.
Yeah, like let me find out they cloned a Gundark. Oh my god. That would be crazy.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But honestly, I feel like we're gonna see that place again.
You think
I feel like
so?
it's not the end of it because there there has to be a reason that they really like kind of showed us that place and why when Cad Bane was supposed to deliver Omega, they chose that place. It's an abandoned well, one's abandoned, but I feel like there's some sort of relevance to the Kaminoans.
Hmm.
And I feel like in a way, like they're gonna move sort of their operation, I guess, there because like he said, I still have use for a scientist, so I feel like they're gonna move them over to that facility because everyone knows about Camino at this point. Nobody really knows about that other place,
That is
you know.
true. That was sort of a
To
hidden
make it
spot for a meeting. That is a good point.
exactly make it like a little hidden secret kind of place.
Hmm.
So I do feel like we're gonna see that planet again. I forgot the name of the planet, but I do
Me
feel
too.
like we're gonna see that again. But one thing I do want to say is with the secret little tunnels, I guess, or tubes, underwater things. Now, the room that they ended up in, I think it was kind of crazy
Oh yeah,
seeing that
that's what.
room.
Yeah, the perfect segue. That's what I want to get into next. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So when, you could tell Omega was like traumatized by seeing that room.
You think she
Um,
was traumatized?
I think she was traumatized by it because it's like it brought back a lot for her, and she was literally like we were like all of us were created in here, like at least the defective,
I
like
thought it was
me and the
sort of
bad,
like nostalgia for her. It's like, yeah, like this is like the secret of all of us.
Yeah, but I
But
first say it's trauma because it's like she literally is like, I don't want to go back to Camino, and then you go back to the room where it's like, this is where I was created, like like
I thought it was for different reasons, because like Nalase basically kept her like at her side the whole time, really sheltered.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of always thought it was in that regard. But hey, I mean, there could be more to that. You may have a point there.
It's also sorry to cut you off,
No, no, go
but
ahead.
one thing I will say is that she literally was like, "Yeah, no, like you guys were even here too," and it kind of makes it think like, okay, like Omega saw the develop of the Bad Batch themselves.
She did.
Like it makes me think like, okay, Omega must have came before the Bad Batch troopers, and I guess like
She
they
did.
just didn't
Yeah,
know,
she
you
did.
know?
It's funny because she's a kid and they treat her like a kid. But it's funny because the whole time she has known that she's older than them,
Yes.
and she has gone along with it the entire time.
Yeah. That's
That's
actually,
it's
yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah, no, literally, like she's gone with it the entire time. And I thought that was kind of crazy to think. I'm like, wow. So it's like, they really said like Omega is really like the oldest one technically out
hmm
of the group,
and
or at least she's been around longer than the rest of them.
and I guess this kind of further confirms that like she ages slower, kind of like she is the same as Boba Fett. She ages much
Yes.
slower than every other clone.
But the real question that I'm wondering is when did Omega get created? Because clearly she wasn't created the same time as Boba. Because then Boba would have known about her, you know?
I wonder if it was after the death of Jango Fett. Maybe this was
It might have.
maybe this could have been a response because you have Jango Fett who flees Kamino and he flees with Boba Fett. So
Yeah.
they basically lost their two their two main sources of the Fett DNA. So
Yeah.
she could have been like an emergency response, or maybe she was even maybe Omega was even a contingency plan, something that they had and stored long ago.
So you hear I correct me if I'm wrong, but you hear May say that like they say like Boba disappeared after the Battle of Geonosis. So they probably cloned Omega because they're like, dang, Boba's probably dead too. And they're like, we gotta create another one,
Yeah,
like you said.
that's true. Yeah, he
So
wasn't
that
seen.
it could be related to that fact that, oh, Boba was quote unquote like MIA at the Battle of Geonosis.
And they never got to him after because he was in and out of prison and hanging around with the other gangs and like other
Kamino
bounty
Falls.
hunters.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Kimonos never would have gotten wind of him again. Um, and even if they did, it would have been by the time it was he was Boba Fett working for the Empire.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because it's
So
like if they had known about him, they wouldn't have been hunting Omega. They would have went for Boba instead.
true,
You know?
and she was there the whole time, but she ended up leaving with Bad Batch. That's why the Prime Minister tried so hard, he even went to the lengths of hiring Cad Bane to go after her.
Oh yeah.
Um, but there is a theory that I saw out there, and I want to throw it out to you just to get your idea on it. It's kind of fun, but so
Mm,
in that cloning room, there were a number of tanks that they were all made out of.
yeah.
Uh, and this is supposed to be a private laboratory that only a few knew. Now, let's say perhaps even the prime minister himself and maybe one or two aides or scientists, right? So, what are the possibilities that there were more, maybe other defective clones that were made in there?
I
But
mean,
even more so, there were some really small pods in there. Some people think that that's where Grogu was made.
you know. um, no for Grogu. Actually, this brings me to another point. But I'm gonna get to that after I say this
Because
comment.
they had that whole cloning thing in The Mandalorian, right?
And I was
That was the
just gonna
second
get.
part to that
I was
theory.
gonna say something about that. So,
And the
and
guy
this goes
had a
back.
crest of the of like a Camino on him, I think.
Yes, I think so. I have to go. I would have to kind of look it up, but actually, well, I might as well get into that. But so one thing that I noticed, and I talked with my friend about this, and he thinks the same thing. So we know that Nalase is still being used for her science,
Yep. Yep.
and we don't know where they take her. So we know about the little cloning thing that we saw in the Mandalorian. They
Yeah.
had to take some of Grogu's blood. So I believe that this was the start of Palpatine cloning himself as we see him in episode 9.
Really?
I believe that this was the first part of it, and that's kind of why, like, because he kind of wanted to, Palpatine would want to keep that a secret. So that's
You
part of
know,
probably why he would want the cloning facility destroyed.
and who else but to take care of it, but to have it seen under Tarkin and his, and anyone who's under his umbrella.
Exactly.
So yeah,
So I
Tarkin's the
think
man
that
for that kind of job.
yeah, so I think those were the beginning stages, because then it's like you look back at it and you look at the little, like, you see what's in the tube in the Mandalorian at least.
Mm-hmm.
You start to see, like, you see one that looks like Snoke, one that looks a little bit like Palpatine, and it's like, eventually, like, you see that cloning in episode 9 of Palpatine,
Yep.
So it's like those were definitely like the early stages of it. And I honestly, after kind of like, because it took me a minute, I actually thought about that overnight, and I'm not gonna lie, it kept me up for like a couple of hours because I was just mind blown. I was like, wait a minute, like, it could really connect. Like, they might be connecting things that lead to episode 9, like here, or like
Yeah.
Mandalorian stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised, especially because this is sort of stemming off of all of that Mandalorian hype, in terms of the new series. I wouldn't
Yes.
be surprised if this kind of ties in because they've already gone ahead and introduced Fennec Shan in there.
Yep.
This is another great time to see Boba Fett and on his way to who he becomes. So who's to say, honestly, because the batch has come across a lot of prominent people, a number of people who are, who aid and become the rebellion in the future.
Yeah. Also, one thing that I guess I've been seeing a lot of people freaking out about, but I saw like Sam Witter had tweeted something.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
and everyone's been going crazy about it because they're like,
Really?
wait, what does this mean? Because we know Sam Witter voices Maul and Palpatine. So we're like, oh, something's gonna go down. But that's
I
just a little
you
thing I
know
just
I
wanted to
was
bring.
I was just watching the other day episode of Clone Wars. Just a quick segue. I was watching an episode the other day of Clone Wars, and it was the father, the son, and the
Yes.
daughter. And
Yeah.
I was just like, Sam Witwer as the son too was amazing,
Oh yeah, no, yeah, no, he did a great job.
But no, but what did he put out online? Oh, okay, guys. So we took a quick second to pull up what happened here. Go ahead with the news, Dan.
Okay, so it was a TikTok that I saw, and I had to go to his Twitter to check. But he tweeted, "I think it's gonna wind up being all just a big misunderstanding." And everyone's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" Because everyone's like, it has to be related to Clone Wars because he tweeted that the day the episode came out. So everyone, like, this might be related to something else,
Oh man.
completely different. But at least Star Wars Twitter is going crazy about that.
Ah, shoot.
Thinking like, "Oh, well, Sam, what are you talking about?" Like, what do you mean?
Okay, so there's some hope for Sam coming in the future. Maybe he can come in like Palpatine, like you said.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
because it was a subtweet actually. If you want me to read the original tweet,
what was
because
the?
I
It was a
because
subtweet of what?
Keith Kellogg, he's Lucasfilm animation director for Rebels, Clone Wars, Resistance, and Bad Batch,
Yeah.
and he tweeted saying, "So, what does everyone think? Anyone have any ideas on how this plays out with the Bad
Huh.
Batch as we barrel towards the finale? Will there be sadness, joy, or something else? All I know is I can't wait for you all to see what's our amazing crew's created. Enjoy." And then that's when he tweeted, "I think it's gonna wind up being all just a big misunderstanding." And we're like, "Oh gosh, he must know something. Like, he has to know something."
Yeah, you think you know something?
I feel like he knows something.
I feel I wouldn't be. I think he's kind of trolling everybody because
He might.
that'd
He
be
might be.
hilarious.
He might be.
So let's finish things up here before we get into predictions. I'm just gonna get right into it. This the destruction of Camino at the end of this episode. Oh my God! I felt so many things
Yeah,
from
no, it
this.
was.
It was visually stunning. There were a lot of great moments, whether it was just the sheer force and might of the Star. I guess another Star Destroyers just yet, but these Imperial cruisers just raining down on the Camino facility. You get the bad trying to like run and like escape. and even getting cornered. You have still shot moments of um, different all the areas of the clone facility. Where all of these clones are literally grow up and become who they are. It's where they learn their nicknames. Where they get their groups, their brothers, where they ship out from. So to see all of that in those last few minutes, they were really trying to hit you in the feels, and they
Mm-hmm.
they got me, man. Yeah, that was
They did it
that
well.
was that was really something. I knew Admiral Rampart had a plan, but I didn't know that that was going to be it. So first, I wanted you to give me. Um, did you think that that was going to be Admiral Rampart's plan? And then let me know what you thought about the whole scene entirely, about the Camino destruction and what you saw there.
Now, I think that was part of his plan because going back to them saying like, "Oh, I don't trust Crosshair." He's like, regardless of his plan, it's gonna fail because he was probably gonna destroy it anyway. Like I feel like I was like, okay, like he was originally planning to do this anyway. Overall, the scenery it was beautiful and it did hit pretty hard. Now, you visit that place and you hear about that place so much that it's like to see the facility actually get destroyed. It was just like, damn, like it's really done. It's like they really destroyed it.
Let's just jump right into predictions. Um, I think I don't. I know some people think that someone's going to die in this destruction. Someone's not going to make it out of this. I don't think that's going to be a case, especially since they just greenlit it for season two. And also, I think if anyone's going to die, it might be next episode. Um, so I, and I mean by the end of next episode. Um, but I think that somehow, some way, they are going to get out of this, and it's going to be they're going to be rescued this time instead of doing the rescuing. We know that Gregor is at Sid's place, and Gregor was meant to link back
Yeah.
up with Rex. So I don't see Gregor as someone to just sit around mending their wound. He's going to want to take action, especially knowing what they're going to be doing, right? And Hunter ended up getting captured on, because of him. So not specific because of him, but trying to go save him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, "Hey Rex, they got me. We're good. I'm fine." But Hunter went missing or got taken, and they went to go get him. They need help. So I think Rex might come in next episode, but I definitely think we're going to see Rex anyways because he's definitely somebody to throw in there for season finale. Um, Hopefully to nudge them in the right direction finally to join up with them. So yeah, what do you think is going to happen next week?
Personally, I actually don't know. Like I can't really think of anything that could happen. Like at this point, it's like you see like in a way, if they ended the season right there, I would actually be okay with it. Like a major cliffhanger, you know.
It'd be something.
But I mean, obviously, we're gonna
I would
see.
be throwing my pillows on my TV, man, if that was the season finale.
Yeah, no, like. But I do think well, obviously they're gonna get off the planet, because there's a season two, so we obviously know they're gonna escape,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but honestly, I feel like we're at a point now where this show can go anywhere. Like by anywhere, I'm not literally meaning like it can go in every direction possible, but you can throw in a lot of things that are relevant. You can throw in a lot of relevant things that don't interrupt or I guess mess with the movies and the other shows that are already out, like Rebels and what like watching Solo or Rogue One and Episode 4.
Yeah.
Like you can throw in stuff that are relevant, but don't mess that up.
So definitely need somebody to come in and yeah, really get us excited for what's to come. But if that, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Everybody, don't forget to check out our mid-season discussion that we did on the first half of the season, where we broke down that was a whole lot of fun, and of course that was with our boy Dirty Dan here. But also, Dan, let everybody know where they can go ahead and find you at.
You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all that. I'm mainly on my Twitch. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv twitter.com/callmedirtydan. My Instagram is callmedirtydan.tv. Twitter is the same as my Twitch name, and my YouTube is also the same. I don't know if I mentioned you can find me on YouTube as well, but yeah, you can find me on YouTube as well.
All right.
Come through, have some fun, chat while I play some games. Currently, I'm playing a scary game, so if you like seeing people get scared, just come through.
Go ahead and check it out. He rages at the screen and everything. It's a lot of fun. You won't be disappointed and anyone who checks him out. So definitely go ahead and check out Dan on Twitch. And you all can find me on Twitter, East to West Review, or just search for my ad at East to West. And again, I will see you all next week for the season 2 finale discussion here with Dan. And yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, or dislike if you really feel like it. But definitely go ahead and let me know all your thoughts on everything. The discussion of Kamino. Was Crosshair possibly right? Did he have a really good point there with his brothers? Omega being older than the clones and some of the secrets that she may also have hidden from them, because I think she still has a few more up her sleeve. And also, how is the batch going to get out of this? Did somebody not make it out alive, possibly? And just let me know what you think how this whole season is going to end. But with that, I'll see you all next week. Bye.